I'm going to hit the
Good to
mic.
go.
Welcome. My name is Beth Slazak. I'm from the Creative Education Foundation, and we'd like to welcome you to our webinar series. Normally it's Creativity Connections, but now we are Creativity Conversations because we have a special guest appearing with our wonderful friend Allison James from Chicago Innovation is her friend, Kaylin.
So hi, my name is Allison James. I'm the program manager of the Chicago Student Invention Convention, and that's a program of Chicago Innovation. And our program ignites the spark of innovation among kindergarten through 8th graders, and we provide equitable opportunities for students to engage in critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, applied STEM, and entrepreneurship from a young age.
I'm Missy Carvin. I am also from Creative Education Foundation, and I have to say today we are so excited to talk with Kaylin. I see that all of our attendees have muted yourselves, so thank you with that. Please, if you have any questions or comments for Kaylin or for any of us, please take advantage of the chat boxes. And this week we'll particularly be keeping an eye on those so that we can send those questions up to Kaylin.
So thank you so much for being here today with us, Kaylin. You recently participated at the Chicago Student Invention Convention, our online competition, and that's where you won first place in computer science, the Computer Science Award, for your invention, See Like Me. And it's an app, and we are so excited to hear about it, to talk to you about your invention and your invention process today, Kaylin.
So, Kaylin, I'd like to ask you, at what grade did you first start inventing?
Oh, whoa. That's a very, very hard question because, well, my parents and grandparents have always encouraged me to find problems and solve them since as far as I can remember. Probably this is the first inventive project where I've actually taken it to the next level and used technology to build something. But definitely not the first problem I have identified and solved. My mom's problem solver, kind of runs it in the family.
That's awesome.
Love that. So Kaylin, can you tell us about your invention?
Well, I created an app called See Like Me. It's basically an augmented reality application that allows others to physically see how I see the world. So it's kind of a little bit groundbreaking because up until this point, I have no idea how I saw. Doctors had different theories, but nobody really knew. So when you have damage to your retina, they don't know if it actually causes damage, and it's very complicated, but it's hard to know based off of the pure procedure that I had what was actually wrong with me in terms of vision. So it was a very cool experience to learn about how I saw and allow others to as well.
And so how did you come up with that idea to kind of replicate vision and how you see the world?
Well, I've always been trying to explain what I see, finding ways of explaining it, similes, metaphors and stuff, but I don't know, it's kind of been my lifelong goal to try to get others to understand how I see so they can understand me better. And at first I knew I wanted to replicate my vision. I knew I wanted to do something with that. And of course you can like cut out a piece of paper and do whatever, like in terms of goggles, I've had mobility instructors and people who have helped me visually, and CPS helped me try to do that. But I thought, why don't I take this through a technology aspect? And I think that was probably the best decision I ever made through this project, to try to use technology.
When you were tackling this what was the process you used to get to your solution? Like iteration, prototype, what were the things that you went through?
Well, in science class, we were of course all taught about the invention process and the scientific method. So I kind of used that, but I also used my own kind of trial and error. So when I first started, I didn't know what I saw. I knew that my vision was different. I knew that I needed to use tests that I could either make up, improvise, or do some research and figure out myself. Well, first of all, I just started researching about how eyes work. I've always kind of wondered what makes eyes see, how does the data get brought through your optic nerve to the brain. So I did some research on that. Then I did some basic understanding of retinoblastoma, which is my eye disease, which has caused me to be visually impaired. So after I did some research, I found out that probably the first test is going to be a visual field test. If you saw my board, you know that I did a visual field test, and to check my results, I did one at the hospital as well. So I kind of just started by doing basic research to figure out what I even wanted to do, because by that point, I didn't really understand what my next step would be. So it's kind of started out as research, and then I did some development and basically adding on layers onto my program to make it more and more realistic.
That's awesome. So for someone who's never seen your invention, how would you describe what it does?
Well, so it's an iPhone app that is not currently in an app store, but I downloaded it off of our house iMac. Basically, you would have the iPhone, it slots into a Google Cardboard headset, which I took from, so Google has their own virtual reality app, which just allows you to like put the headset on and see like a sunset or other programs. But mine, I took my app and I used their headset. So you would basically be wearing a VR headset. It's actually made out of cardboard, so it looks much less cool. And in the app, you have one eye, which is blacked out because this eye is actually plastic. It's a prosthesis. And then in the other eye, it's edited visual field. So I use the testing to figure out what I can still see in that eye. So it's black on one side and then it's visually edited on the other. It basically allows you to see how I would see the world and walk around and use it in whatever way helps you to understand. I also have two other modes, night mode and eye fatigue mode, which allow you to see different other experiences that vision makes challenging for me.
And was this your first automatic jump to presenting vision, or were there other ideas that you had before you got to this final iteration?
Well, I think from pretty much the start of my procedure, I wanted to use technology. My science teacher, Miss Harris, she originally thought I was going to use like goggles and stuff and do it, but
hello, Kaylin. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Hi, Miss Harris.
So sorry. I was having a few problems getting in and I was about to lose it. I was like, okay, well, go right ahead. I'm just going to mute myself again. Or host, you can mute me.
Okay.
Did you have anything more, Kaylin, for that answer?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Right. And Allison's muted.
I was just saying, hello, Miss Harris, Kaylin's awesome science teacher.
Kaylin, what were some roadblocks? I'm assuming that you hit some hard patches, and if you did, what did you do to overcome them?
Well, for instance, on the house iMac that I used to create this program, it has to be a pretty advanced computer system to support Xcode, which is the program I use to create my app. It's not visually accessible at all. So it was very hard to first be able to read the screen, not to mention add different versions onto my app. So my mom helped me configure some accessibility features on the iMac through settings. And after that, it was pretty slow going, but it was good to know that I can find solutions to that. Also, my app deletes itself every week off my iPhone because I do not own a development license. So if I am going to continue developing this, which I plan to, I will have to get some more credentials in terms of development license and stuff. So hopefully that's in the future. It was a challenging process, definitely, for someone who's visually impaired to use software and applications which are not very accommodating.
Thank you.
For sure. So if you were going to talk to other kids who wanted to start inventing or stick with inventing, what is one thing you would say to those kids?
Well, I would definitely tell them that based on who we are, our identity, things that challenge us, such as my vision, or if you live in a not very good area, just everything in our life that's challenging or poses a problem is an opportunity. So often often the best things that you can use as an inventor are problems in your own life, because you're passionate about them, because you really want to fix them, not only for yourself, but for others in that situation. I would tell them to embrace every challenge you have as an opportunity. Definitely. I would also tell them to stick with it. In history, there have been many inventors who have great ideas, but they just don't finish their projects. And sometimes it's very tempting, like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I just want to quit. But it's really important that you keep going and that you finish what you started.
And as a 7th grade inventor, you have so many more years of inventing ahead of you. And so I'm excited to hear about 2 things. So what are you hoping to do with this invention in the future? How do you hope to grow it or change it? And then also, what else do you want to invent?
Well, for the first question, this app currently, it helps me. It lets others see how I see. But to the general public, to other visually impaired people, though it is eye-opening, it's not very helpful to other people who are not friends with me or who don't want to expand their minds. So I thought this summer, or whenever I have an opportunity, I was hoping that I could continue this a step further and create an application which is more adaptive. So it's still an ongoing prototype. Yet again, it will probably change over time, but I'm thinking that I'm going to create an application in which people can edit their visual field corrections, which is how far you can see when you look at a certain point, like your peripheral vision, your central vision. My plan is to create something which people can adapt to their own vision. So other visually impaired people can create what I have. So they can show their teachers, their friends, and it can be better understood by their communities. And for the second question, in the future, I really think that this invention is incredible, and I'm very much enjoying it. But in the future, if a problem presents itself, I can't wait to find solutions. But an inventor's life is never done.
We agree. We also think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're pretty amazing. So 7th grade, you're going to start 8th grade in the fall, ideally. What advice would you, now knowing what you know, give to past Kaylin, younger Kaylin?
I actually have a lot. I wish I had known a lot about this in the past, because I think that if you ask many people with disabilities or challenges, they'll tell you that they have gone through periods in their life where they were upset about it and they didn't feel like they belonged, or we all face challenges, right? But in the past, I used to resent my disability. I went through phases where I didn't want to use other technology. I didn't want to be different from my peers. I still kind of feel that way, but I also understand that technology, that like Chromebooks that I use and low vision devices I use, it's not actually a disadvantage. Sometimes I'm the fastest note taker because I can dictate instead of type. It's any challenge brings new opportunities. I would tell my past self that look on the bright side. You have a visual impairment, which means that you see different things in the world. You can use technology. You learn to use technology younger, so you have an advantage in high school. I would tell myself to see a disability as an opportunity rather than I can't see. So, thank you.
So Kaylin, you talked a little bit about this when you talked about what else do you want to invent and kind of groups that you want to be able to help, but who are you most interested in helping as you continue inventing?
Well, definitely I empathize with other visually impaired because I'm one of them. I also think that this has opened my eyes to other disabilities, like people in wheelchairs, people with hearing impairments. I think that I could be influential in trying to make things more accessible, such as like Chromebooks or iMacs. There are certain things that if I could talk to the people who made them, I would show them, like I would be so angry because like most people don't realize it, but their websites and their devices are just not accessible for people like me. I think maybe in the future I could try to make things easier for people coming through the same education program as I did, and try to make them not have as many hurdles, basically. I also think that in your identity, there are certain things that make up who you are, and you are naturally more empathetic, and you naturally understand those other people who share those values with you more, so it's easier to find solutions to those problems. So definitely I hope to help other people who share my problems.
And what would you say is your superpower?
This is a hard one. I try my best to notice when other people have challenges. Like, I think that because of this experience, I will notice another person who is feeling bad because they can't run as fast because they're hurt or something. That's actually hard to explain, but I think I see what people are, in terms of like Superwoman, Superman, I don't have any superpowers, but I think that this vision has opened my eyes to other challenges that people may not notice in their everyday lives.
Kaylin, who's a role model for you? Somebody that you look up to?
Well, throughout my entire life, my mom has always been there for me. When my vision instructors told me that technology is not the right way, that you need to learn how to read and write and actually use your eyes, she always said, no, use technology. And she has always helped me continue being a wonderful student and continue trying hard, even though there are challenges. For instance, in 6th grade, I started the school year and I love school. I have always loved school, but on that first day of 6th grade, I wish that I could just crawl into a hole and cry. It was not a very good first day. Going into the new world of middle school, I realized that I couldn't get by with the same devices that worked in elementary school. I had to upgrade my arsenal of vision devices to accommodate for the new world. And she found me my current device, my Chromebook, which changed my life and made me feel like I fit in. It made me be able to do things as fast as everybody else or faster. So I don't know. My mom has always been the person I look up to. She's a problem solver. She's my mom.
That is so
Got dusty in here.
Yeah.
And she's probably
Allergies.
watching me right now with a really
Oh my goodness.
So Deborah had a question. She wanted to know, have you shown your invention to your eye doctor and your teachers, and who has been your target audience?
Oh, well, in terms of, so as you know, this coronavirus has kind of impaired our goals a bit. So
A little bit.
yes, I have shown my device in a lot of its different stages to my teachers, to my, I have not actually showed it to my doctors yet. I have many doctors, so it may take a while, but I hope to show my eye doctor especially. And whenever this thing's over, I can finally do that. But until then, it may be a while. In terms of target audience, throughout my experience, I have met a lot of teachers, which have just made me extremely frustrated. I'm like, it's not that hard. You just have to send me the work. It's just getting people to understand you better so they realize what they need to do to help you. Teachers, friends, anybody who either didn't understand me or who I think it's a good eye opener for anybody to see that you may think that things are challenging, but if you see what other people see and you see from their point of view and the challenges they face, it can keep you more open-minded to the rest of the world. So definitely teachers, parents, friends, people who I like, people who create software and stuff, which could be more accessibility, like my Chromebook. And I wish I could have talked to the people who created iMacs and iPads, and like I would have said, you need accessibility on every single one. Windows, that's another big one. You need text to speech, you need dictation. So.
And I imagine that that impacts your own inventing process, right? Getting user feedback and really finding out who's using the invention that you're creating. Can you talk a little bit about that testing process that you've done?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think it was wonderful to see people's reactions. Many of the people who I see every day, like Ogden security guards. I go to Ogden Jenner. Security guards, office workers, people who I see every day, I wave hello to. I may even have a conversation with. A lot of them, if they knew I was visually impaired, they didn't really know I was, like, they didn't really know to the extent of what I could see. I've showed my assistant principal, as I said in my video, she had a very emotional reaction. I've showed my PE teacher, who up until that point, I don't think he really understood why I kept refusing to play soccer, why I couldn't play basketball, why I would always get hit in the gym with a ball. So I think that really taught him a lesson and said, whoa, like, she physically can't see the balls. Like, it's not her being rude. It's not her just not wanting to play. She physically can't see them. So I think it definitely changed a lot of my teachers' perspectives on me and on why I ask for the accommodations I do. So I think it was very inspirational.
Yeah, thank you. And so we know, sorry, but
Nope, go.
I'm just so excited to talk to Kaylin. Kaylin, we know you're an inventor. We know you're a part-time superhero. What other things do you like to do in your free time? What activities do you enjoy outside of inventing?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I love audiobooks. A long time ago, when I was younger, I used to hate reading. I would do pretty much anything I could to get out of reading. I hated it because the words would jumble and I couldn't read them, or I would mess up and I felt bad about it. Also, reading was one of the things I could never meet my peers at through vision means. But when I started listening to audiobooks, I'm like, I love books. I love these stories, and I can finally access them like everybody else. So I love books. I always have. Now I can finally access them. I love drawing. This probably sounds pretty strange coming from a visually impaired person, and it does come with its own set of challenges, and I do pay a price for drawing. As I mentioned in my presentation, I get eye fatigue. It usually comes as headaches or shaking and other symptoms. I've talked to my doctors, they don't know exactly what causes it. It's an ongoing investigation for me to find out why and how I can help myself not have to deal with that anymore. But I love drawing. I'm currently working on a new style of drawing in order to get my characters more proportionate, which is lots of fun. I don't know. I love nature. I love fashion. Again, kind of strange, but you know.
Kaylin, you are just so amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share with us today, or address anything that we haven't already hounded you with 1,000 questions about?
It's okay. Well, I do want to say that I am honored to be here, and I really enjoyed participating in the Invention Convention competition. I am a tad competitive, but I really, really enjoyed it. I would also like to put this out there, not for anybody in particular, but just to raise awareness. Throughout, I've participated in the CPS Science Fair. I'm going to participate in another fair, and just throughout life as a whole in terms of upcoming opportunities, in order to actually enroll in these competitions, in order to actually go to these places, there are forms, there are things that you have to write and see. And it's often very frustrating for me when I say I want to do this, and then someone says, oh, but you have to read this form, or you have to answer this survey. I'm like, well, I can't read that. So it comes down to my parents and teachers and friends. But just saying, if you ever create a survey, please add dictation and text to speech. Thank you. Sorry, that's just, I have to say that.
No, that's a brilliant awareness.
Yep, definitely.
Totally get that. Kaylin, you have been delightful to chat with. We so appreciate your time and you know, the energy you've put into this interview. We really, really have loved chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so, so much. We're going to put in a quick plug for CPSI, for our Creative Problem Solving Institute, which is all on Zoom, so it's all audio. So you can hear it as well as see it, which will be happening June 8th till the 26th. We have a cajillion webinars in the month of June, so you can check out www.cpsiconference.com for more information and how to register. And Allison, I know that the CSIC virtual award ceremony is up and running. I've watched and cried along to the YouTube video for that. Where can people find that?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. Today is the day of tech issues. I appreciate it though. Yes, so Kaylin has referenced her presentation a few times, and so if you're interested in seeing a montage of her presentation as she takes first place for our Computer Science Award, you can see that award ceremony footage at CSIC Invents. That's CSIC, like Chicago Student Invention Convention, CSIC Invents. And we are on all the platforms, so you can see the video there. And we are sending Kaylin to nationals. Is that right, Kaylin? Are you getting geared up for nationals?
Most definitely.
Awesome. So Kaylin will be representing the Chicagoland at the U.S. National Invention Convention as well, which is online this year, and it's normally held at the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation. So we're very proud of Kaylin, and we wish you best of luck at nationals.
Thank you.
Good luck, Kaylin. We will be rooting for you.
Thank
For
you so
sure.
much.
I would like to say
I'm honored.
something.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Harris.
Hi. I just want to say I've been teaching over 15 years, and I've had students to enter a number of competitions. The Invention Convention was my first convention last year that I added to the list. And the students that I worked with this year, they had the most original and most passionate projects. I always start my classes each year asking the students, pick a project that you're passionate about. And I received, when I heard of Kaylin's project, it just blew me out of the water. I mean, anybody who looked at her project or read her project immediately started crying. And she would say, it's okay, Ms. Harris, it's okay. Because as her teacher, I had no idea of the limitations that she was under, because she participated in class. She moved with the kids as if, you know, we knew she had an impairment. We weren't quite sure what it was, but we had no idea. And I pushed her, and she's very competitive, so I didn't have to push much. But my job as a teacher, and I say to all the other teachers, have the students to pick a project that they're passionate about, and just exposing them to the different competitions. You will be so rewarded at the project that you get back.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harris. It was great having you in the program this year.
And thanks to all of the creativity community. Definitely thanks to the Creative Education Foundation and everyone who supports all that CEF is trying to do. We will not be having webinars for a little while, but you are welcome to join us starting June 8th, as Missy said, at CPSI, where we'll be having webinars every single day, for pretty much most of the month of June. And finally, keep connecting
creatively. One day I'll get that.
Someday we will.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Kaylin.
Thank you,
Ms.
Kaylin.
Harris.
Thank you, Ms.
It
Harris.
was an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.